Hi everyone, I have something really special to share with you and something I couldn't be more excited about.
Every year, countless holiday songs are re-recorded, re-released, and reshared, but only a few ever manage to stop listeners in their tracks. Recently, one Christmas performance has been quietly resurfacing across social platforms, drawing renewed attention not through marketing or controversy, but through the reaction it provokes in viewers. The performance belongs to Lucy Thomas, a young British singer already familiar to audiences from televised talent competitions. Her version of a well-known Christmas song has prompted an unusually strong response, with listeners describing moments of silence, reflection, and even emotional pause after hearing it. What stands out is not volume or vocal acrobatics, but restraint, something rarely associated with performers of her age. From a reporting standpoint, the renewed interest raises a question worth examining. Why does this particular rendition continue to resonate years after its release, especially during the holiday season? To understand that, it's important to look not only at the performance itself, but at how audiences are reacting to it, and what that reaction may reveal about the changing way people connect with music today. According to viewer data and comment analysis, most listeners decide whether to continue watching within the first few seconds, and this performance appears to defy that trend. Rather than beginning with a dramatic build-up or instrumental flourish, Lucy Thomas opens the song with a controlled, understated vocal entry. The simplicity of the introduction has been widely noted by viewers, many of whom report stopping what they were doing almost immediately. From a journalistic perspective, this reaction is significant because it contrasts sharply with current digital viewing habits, which favor fast packing and instant payoff. Audience comments repeatedly reference the calmness of the opening, describing it as unexpected and grounding. Some note that the performance feels less like a show and more like a quiet moment being shared. This response suggests that the opening note does more than introduce a melody. It sets an emotional context that encourages listeners to stay. What's particularly notable is that the performance does not rely on novelty. There are no visual distractions or dramatic cues. Instead, the focus remains entirely on vocal delivery, which may explain why viewers describe feeling drawn in rather than entertained. And as attention builds, the performance begins to reveal why it continues to circulate long after its initial release. Music analysts often point out that emotional impact isn't always tied to vocal power, and this performance serves as a clear example. Lucy Thomas's vocal approach in this song has been described as controlled, measured, and deliberate. Rather than emphasizing range or intensity, she maintains a consistent tone that allows the melody to unfold naturally. From a reporting angle, this technique stands out because it's uncommon in younger performers, who are often encouraged to showcase technical ability early. Online discussions frequently highlight how the delivery feels older than expected, not in style but in emotional discipline. Listeners note that the phrasing appears intentional, with pauses that allow lyrics to linger. This has led to speculation, not accusation, about how such restraint is developed, prompting conversations about training, experience, and natural aptitude. Importantly, the performance does not escalate dramatically. Instead, it remains steady, which may contribute to its calming effect. In an era where many covers aim to reinvent familiar songs, this version appears to preserve the original spirit while subtly reshaping how it's felt. That balance between familiarity and freshness may explain why audiences respond so strongly, and why the performance continues to attract new listeners each holiday season. Unlike most viral content, this performance did not surge overnight. It spread gradually and almost quietly. Data from reposts and user shares suggest that the video gained traction through personal sharing rather than algorithmic pushes. Many viewers report encountering it through friends, family members, or seasonal playlists rather than trending tabs. From a news perspective, this pattern is worth noting, as it reflects a different kind of digital engagement, one driven by recommendation rather than hype. Comments often reference specific moments when people chose to share the song, late evenings, holiday gatherings, or moments of reflection. This context matters because it suggests the performance is being used not as background entertainment, but as a shared experience. Some users mention returning to it annually, describing it as part of their personal holiday routine. What's especially notable is the lack of polarization. Unlike many widely shared videos, the responses are largely consistent in tone, calm, reflective, and appreciative. That consistency may explain the longevity of the performance. Instead of peaking and fading, it appears to resurface naturally, gaining new viewers each year who experience it without prior expectations. As viewership increased, so did discussion, but not in the way typically associated with viral performances. Rather than focusing on competition results or rankings, public conversation has centered on interpretation. Viewers debate what makes the performance feel so impactful, with opinions ranging from vocal technique to emotional authenticity. Some discussions question whether the reaction says more about the listener than the singer, suggesting the song's timing and context play a major role. From a journalistic standpoint, these conversations remain largely speculative and observational. There are no formal claims or controversies, but rather an ongoing analysis by viewers attempting to articulate their response. This type of engagement is relatively rare, especially for holiday music, which is often treated as disposable or seasonal. What emerges is a broader conversation about simplicity in performance. In contrast to heavily produced renditions, this version appears to invite interpretation rather than dictate emotion. That openness may be why listeners continue to return to it, and why discussions remain active years later without the need for external promotion. Familiar songs rarely feel new, but this performance is frequently described as changing how listeners hear the original. Music reviewers and casual listeners alike point out that the arrangement avoids excess. There are no dramatic tempo shifts or vocal embellishments designed to impress. Instead, the focus remains on clarity and packing. From a reporting angle, this restraint is significant because it contrasts with current trends in holiday music production. Listeners often describe the experience as quietly emotional, noting that the song doesn't demand attention but earns it. This distinction matters, particularly during a season saturated with sound. By lowering intensity rather than raising it, the performance creates space for reflection, something many viewers say they weren't expecting. The result is a version that feels personal rather than performative. While countless covers aim to stand out, this one appears to blend in, until it doesn't. That subtle shift may explain why it leaves a lasting impression, even after the final note fades. Not every memorable performance is loud, and not every lasting moment arrives with fanfare. From a news perspective, Lucy Thomas's Christmas performance represents an interesting case study in audience connection. Its continued relevance is not driven by controversy, promotion, or reinvention, but by consistent emotional response. Viewers don't describe being impressed as much as being affected. As the performance continues to resurface each holiday season, it raises a broader question about what audiences are truly seeking in music today. In a landscape dominated by speed and spectacle, this rendition suggests there is still space for quiet moments, and that sometimes those moments resonate the longest. Rather than redefining the song, the performance appears to reframe it. And judging by the reaction, that subtle shift may be exactly why listeners keep returning, year after year.